Welcome, Amakhosi Network. Welcome to the channel. Today we chat about the round 2 assessment of our practice match against Vitesse and what we now know from that practice match after the game and what we can take from this Vitesse match, because Nabi is building his team, and these practice matches are going to also let him know who is ready and who is not. But before we get into that, please like, comment, and subscribe. Many of you are not subscribed, but unsubscribe. Anyway, let's get into it. Buffett, a lot of you have been seeing on social media, and all of these things are going crazy about the practice match. You are going crazy. Solomon's better. Yeah, Flavio. What? And I'm like, Buffett, this is the thing I need. I think we need to just be fair. Let's be fair and say the game against Vitesse is a practice match, right? It's not a game that that the result is important. Let me put it that way. It's not a game where the result is important. The most important thing is the performance. And I think a lot of you would have picked up in my analysis yesterday is that I did not talk about the result. I did not talk about good to be lost. I didn't even talk about Vitesse, if they had strong players, etc. I didn't talk about that. What I did highlight is that the team that started in the first half from Vitesse's side looked like it was the weaker side in terms of looks like they had the younger players, etc. And you could see that the second half team was more of what Vitesse is going to be going forward for their season, right? Because you could just see they were stronger, they were more comfortable on the ball in the second half, etc. And it's not even a thing that Chiefs had a weaker second half team. It's just that those guys in the second half were the better team. Right, so in terms of Vitesse game, you could see that they were also the boys are just getting into the rhythm of the preparing for their seasons, and it's the same for Chiefs. This is our first game. I think we've had training for about 2 weeks now, if I'm not mistaken. The boys have been training for about 2 weeks. So in these 2 weeks that the boys have been training, I think we have to be realistic that the combinations won't be flowing. A lot of the boys are still using last year's ideas that Nabi's pulling through. Maybe Nabi's still slowly introducing his new tactics into the team. For example, an interesting tactic that I saw, but I can't really say it's going to be a tactic Nabi will use, but it's an interesting one, is how Tabokele and Ngobo almost had they didn't have a solid position, right? When I say they didn't have a solid position, I mean they looked like they were moving more freely, because Thabo Cele, 1 minute you'd see him on the right, 1 minute you'd see him on the left, next minute you'd see him in attack, and then you'd see him start the ball right by the center backs. And you saw the same thing with Ngobo. Ngobo was the one mostly pressing the defenders, but in moments you would see him retrieve the ball from the back, come in the middle, take 1 or 2 touches, bring the ball turn. So they were like moving up and down in that rhythm. Like 1 minute you would see Thabo Cele more in attack, then you'd see Ngobo. They were joining the attack and defense very easily, unlike what we saw last season. Last season we used to see that certain people were just at the back. So for example, if it's like we're playing with Mtetwa and Matt, they would struggle to get into attack a lot of times, and you wouldn't really see that connection between the midfield and the attack, which is something I saw and picked up especially in the first half. The second half, you did see Matlo and Zwane really playing a defensive, like DMs. They did play like actual DMs. So it looked like they were just playing as a 6-6. It didn't really help the 6-6 game because they're not really comfortable in that position. So that's what also made it difficult to see which is led. But yeah, the big thing I want to take away is Flavio is one takeaway. And the reason why I think a lot of you who watch this chat, I'm going to start by saying this. I wish Flavio all the best in Chiefs colors. I wish he scores a lot of goals. I wish Flavio is one of the best strikers in the PSL. These are all my wishes for Flavio. I just wish him all the best. And yes, I've seen his videos. I haven't held back on those videos. I've been honest in saying that I wasn't impressed by the videos, but maybe he doesn't feel the PSL. Maybe PSL is going to be very easy for him. And maybe that's where he starts to really, really shine in the PSL because he finds it easy. Because I say this because Buffett to Flavio, having seen his videos, there's two things I want to take away from it. He's not the most comfortable person on the ball. He is very, what can I say? He's very floppy. He doesn't have his legs in order. Like, he's like, when someone traps the ball and you're like, hey, he almost didn't trap it. Just because it's sometimes he plays like he doesn't have control over his body. Like when he runs, I don't know how to explain. I think people who have watched his videos will understand. Sometimes when he tries, you get shocked that he was able to trap it. Not because he doesn't have the quad, just because of how he moves and how so it's difficult. And sometimes when he doesn't trap it well, it makes sense just because his legs are always flopping. So that's what I wanted to say. He has and his trap is sometimes he has like a hard foot when he traps. I don't know if a lot of people who play soccer will understand that. But but anyway, other than that, Flavio, this is what I'm going to say about Flavio. Flavio reminds me of Kingston Nkata. Kingston Nkata was a striker that kept the defenders busy. He kept the center backs busy. He would pull center backs away from their position. It will open pockets for the number 10. It will open pockets for the wingers to cut in and get more shots on goal. I feel like Flavio is going to play that role more. Why? Because he's a very active defender. Active striker. He's very fast. Like you can tell that's what he is. He's an active, fast striker. But the thing is that a lot of us still want a striker with goals. Like, that is what we're lacking, a striker of goals. And the thing about Flavio is, in order to get Flavio to score goals, you need to put the ball on a platter. What do I mean, put the ball on a platter? Flavio needs a first-time cross that finds his head goal. Flavio needs a through pass where he can go one-on-one on goal. He doesn't need to have a lot of touches on though. He's not that striker that you should be involving in a lot of the game, especially if you want goals, because he does one thing that I didn't enjoy, and that's the thing that I used to complain about Rangachi Vavero, where they're running away from the ball, from the poles. That's the one thing my takeaway. Chislett, I feel it's difficult to rate him, especially with some of the players he was playing with. I would like to see how Chislett plays when we have a midfield of Thabo Cele. Like if we had like a midfield of, let's say, Thabo Cele and maybe Unqobo there and maybe Chislett. I would like to see what that midfield will look like. Obviously, I don't want to talk about Ndlovu because he's not in the Netherlands yet, but primarily we would like to see Chislett and Cele and Ndlovu. That's the one we would like to see. But yeah, so I feel like it will make him a bit better. Serino, I'm not going to talk about Serino. Monyani, good. Shinga had a solid performance. I'm just worried about the strapping that he has on his knee. It looks like it's very heavy, and it looks like, I don't know what happened, but it doesn't look like a good... The positive is that he played, so that's maybe the positive we can take. But it was looking it made me a bit worried. And then the other things, like the young players, Mabaso had good movement, good touches. Can't really say anything about that. Hlongwane, I don't get why they put Hlongwane in and keep Morris in the game. Like, Hlongwane and Duba are almost the same player, so it doesn't make sense why you'd pull Chislett and put Hlongwane in Chislett's position. Like, why don't you just pull Morris, keep Chislett, and play Hlongwane by Morris's position, and then let Chislett feed off the natural striker that's there. And let's see Chislett when he plays with a more mobile striker. Apart from Morris, we didn't get the luxury to see that. We saw Chislett playing with Morris, which you could see he struggled with, because you can't. He struggled to play off Morris. That's the biggest thing I wanted to say. He struggled to play off Morris, and yeah, the other takeaway is that the Vitesse and them. Look, I'm not even gonna compare the leagues. I wanna, like, initially when I wanted to do the video yesterday, I wanted to compare the leagues, but I was like, honestly, there's nothing about Vitesse that I saw yesterday that made me feel good. The gap in the league is big. I feel the next games, because the teams we're gonna be playing next are gonna be way better teams than Vitesse. Those ones are gonna tell us the gap between the leagues, because the truth is this, and I think sometimes people don't want to face the truth, but the truth is that a lot of teams like Sundowns, Pirates, Chiefs, etc. are going to be better than the lower half teams of some of these European leagues or European teams in Europe. So you'll find Guti Chiefs can be able to beat Vitesse on a good day. You'll find that Pirates Sundowns will be able, you'll find that Stellenbosch will be able to beat Vitesse in most cases. You'll find that. But when it comes to the bigger teams, maybe let's say if there's a league of top 18, top 16 team, whatever, you'll always find Guti, the top 8 teams, we are the ones we will really find a challenge with. But the bottom 8 teams, we will be able to beat them. And that's what I took from Vitesse. What I took from that Vitesse game is that if Vitesse put their best 11 on the field and we put our best 11 on the field, I think we could have beaten them. And it was going to be easy, even though we still don't have a solution for the goals. But apart from that, the big takeaway I also want to give is that our problems of last season are our problems that we still are seeing in the preseason game, which is the unfortunate thing about that game, the preseason game, is that if Chiefs management fails to sort out the problems that existed in the prior season, it's going to be an issue. The left back, right back seems to have been solved to some extent. Let's just say it's been solved, because if you have Monyane, Frosler, and you have Shinga, Marco, Shinga looks decent, Marco looks there, and then Nkwesa is also coming as the left back, who's also challenging there and also in the Netherlands. It should be fine. Right back is maybe more challenging because Monyane and Frosler are injury prone. So a part of me feels maybe release Solomons and look for a DDC player to come and replace Solomons, who is better than Solomons. That's the only thing I can think of there. But centre back, the left centre back one is a bit worrying. I know we have Miguel, we have Msimango, we have Dudley. And then after that, that's where it starts getting a bit tricky because it's Labokwinika, etc., etc. So the centre back position may need one more solid centre back. It may need, but may not be a priority at the current moment, but it may need, we may need another centre back. That's one thing I'm saying, but it may not be a position you prioritize right now. It's someone you can get in Jan rather than try get that player now. But this is where I'm going to, and I know it took long to get here. Striker, goalkeeper. Two of our biggest problems last season is we didn't have good goalkeepers and we didn't have good strikers. We created enough chances that a good striker can put the ball in the back of the net, but we didn't have a good striker. We conceded very weak goals in the back because of our bad keeping, and those two positions have not been fixed. Chiefs needs to urgently address this because I don't know how Chiefs is going to address it. It's not an easy thing to address, but they just have to force themselves to be in an uncomfortable position. What do I mean force themselves to be in an uncomfortable position? They need to just loan out Vuma, and they need to just release Ubontle Molefe. Even if they decide to put Ubontle Molefe on loan, that's fine as well. But they just need to get rid of those two keepers. And Ntwari. Let me say Ntwari also needs to go. So Ntwari needs to go, Vuma needs to go, and we need to be left with almost Peterson. But we need to be left with Peterson. Look, I'm caught in two minds. Maybe leave Vuma, because what I had hoped is that Chiefs can take Dakalani, the other goalkeeper, the youth goalkeeper, to Netherlands. But since they didn't take him, it seems like he's not in their plans. But we need to solve the goalkeeper problem. Like that one, I don't know how we're going to solve it. But I don't think we need Ntwari, and I don't think we need Vuma. But we need another solid keeper in the PSL. Whether it's Lena or whoever, I don't know. But we just need better keepers. Strikers, Flavio, I told you, reminds me of Kingston Kata. He will do the business, but we need a goal scorer. There are a lot of goal scorers, contrary to popular belief, but you pay for goal scorers. Goal scorers don't just land on your lap unless you want to go and try TS Galaxy and sign TS Galaxy striker from overseas that they released now. So they released that striker who scored, I think, 11 goals and 3 assists in his first season in the PSL. You can get him. I don't know if he'll solve our problems, but at least he has height. He knows how to handle the ball. He has good movement. I think he will even be a better striker than Silva. So the problem is that he's a foreigner. So yeah. A lot of you will know I keep repeating the same thing all over and all the time, is that I would go and take money and go sign Robert Paul Veka. That is the only striker I would go out and take out proper money for. And because that guy I know will be the solution. Because the basics of the PSL, I think the guy would understand already. The guy is very smart. You can see how he's very technical. So that's the only player outside. Amakhosi.